Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Hi everyone. How are you doing? I actually have to check up on you because this is January and we all know how it is in the first month of the year. They say January is always like this, it's a broke month because we plan for December but not January. We plan for Christmas and New Year but don't remember that there's another month after that. Anyway, this is another episode of Let's Talk About Tomorrow where we discuss issues that concern Gen Z. I am Petrina. In the studio today we have Blessing.
Hi.
We have Oyin.
Hi.
And of course, we have Barrister Evans Ofeli.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir. It's good to have you on the show.
Yes.
Okay, today we are going to be focusing on why many of us Gen Zs don't read. Now, when I say read, I'm talking about both fiction and non-fiction. I'm going to talk about us here in Nigeria because that's where I know. It's easier for you to find us reading fiction than for you to find us reading non-fiction. When I say non-fiction, that's like self-development books, history, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, my question is, why do you think a lot of us don't read? Let's now start with you.
Okay, so for me, I think why most young people in our generation don't read anymore, one major reason is because we are occupied with several things. Many other things are taking our time, and one of those things, social media. I think everybody should agree with me on that. And then one thing social media has done to us is reading takes your concentration, it demands your attention. But then social media has dealt with us so much that it has reduced an average individual's attention span.
Yes.
Okay, so because of the constant time they spend, they've constantly been on social media, they just want to be on social media, their attention span has reduced. So sitting down with a book and reading something in 5 minutes, an average individual, an average young person, an average Gen Z will drop the book.
So in other words, social media is a distraction.
Yeah, a major distraction.
Oyin, what do you think?
Well, I agree with that because reading takes a lot of time, focus, it needs your concentration, and most times some people read for fun, like for entertainment and everything, but
That's fiction.
yes, exactly. Some people actually read non-fiction, so like I have some friends that read non-fictions, books about self-development. I think when this podcast thing was actually going viral, I had a friend on Spotify. What he was actually listening to more was more of all this self-development. So there are different types of reading because I think in our generation now, we read maybe online because there are some apps that actually translate what we're reading for us. So it's not just about reading books. There are different methods of reading. Like it varies. I can actually be reading or be listening to things like reading also.
Well, that's the difference, reading and listening. You're asking about reading.
Well, reading takes a lot of time. You need concentration, and even some information that you might even see on reading is already on internet. You already have it on social media, like it's everywhere.
All right, Barrister, what do you think?
Well, why Gen Zs don't read? I'm not a Gen Z, so I don't know why you guys don't read. But I will tell you, that I, for example, during my time, we did a lot of reading, hardcore reading. I know that the Gen Zs, they read too, but most times it's just about maybe passing exams. And but the reading that will unlock the depth of your thought, okay, that is found wanting in this day and age. Like in my time, whether you are in the arts or social science or law, whatever, we all read the works of Shakespeare because of the depth of it. And reading then was not just about reading, it's about also retention.
Yes.
Taking it in to your faculty. Because what reading does, it eviscerates you from the banality of antiquity. And it opens your intellection to absorb and retain the depth of knowledge. You align your spirit with that of the author, and it reflects in your ability to communicate effectively. It reflects also in your ability to comport yourself and to interact. Whether anywhere you find yourself in the world, you can discuss. Okay, I discussed Shakespeare with a Caucasian in a train from London to Middlesbrough. It's a long journey. Okay, so we're talking about Julius Caesar, and all of a sudden, we discovered that about 5-6 persons who were not in the discussion had plugged in because we're talking about how Caesar died and we're citing what can be avoided, whose end was proposed by the Almighty. Yes, Caesar shall go forth, for this prediction is made to the world in general and as to Caesar. So while he was reciting his lines, I was picking the lines that follow. You understand? So it became so engaging. But that's because the two of us are coming from a generation where retention and memorization was popular. Today it's not popular. It's not popular, I don't know why. The Gen Z, they said they are a speed generation, a generation that were born into the information age. What they see as reading is quite different from what we see as reading. It does not mean we're better, you understand, or that the Gen Z are better. It means that there's a shift in time and reference, and also there's a shift in what you call preference. Okay, but generally speaking, there's no way you are going to develop your faculty without reading.
Yes,
that is why
that's very true.
the only people that should be allowed to lead are those who read. Because even if you look at, let's even go to ancient times in the Holy Writ. Look at what Daniel said about, say, I understand through reading. Then let's take it also back to ancient time again. When the Pharisees and the Sadducees were confused as to, he said, they came to meet Jesus and they said, Master, if a man marries a woman and the first one dies, another man married that woman, that one died, and the third one, at the end of time, who among the three would they say is the husband to the woman? You understand? That bulk of confusion. But Jesus told them, have you not read? You understand? Talking about reading, he recommended reading. Always recommending reading. Reading is critical. So if there's any reason why people are not reading, I think that thing should be fought. Because today we're talking about why Gen Z don't read. You say it's distraction, it's social media. Sometimes it could be just being lazy. Sometimes there are people who will say education is scam. It's popular about Gen Z.
Education is not scam.
It's not a scam, but
See, I shiver when I hear it. So I want to hear from you.
okay, sir. Education is not a scam, but looking at things like that is happening, everyone, like, some people actually get popularity maybe through a social media post and they see money from it. Some people graduate with first class, but there's nothing to write. Like, they are literally looking for work, while some other people are just, okay, let me use the example of audit stout or something. Like, they're in the high post. Some of them earn money than someone going to work. And I feel that's where people will not be like, oh, education is scam, because comparing the two of them together, they didn't go to school. At their young age, they're already doing all this one, collecting money and stuff like that. We are going to school, we will read, we will do things, we will try to network, but still, I still feel like maybe there's something, nothing to show off. Like, nothing.
That's
But
do you agree with that?
For me,
But
Are you saying life is just about money?
no, not life is just about money, because also, yes, you have to be intelligent and, like, of course, but life is not all about money. But some people actually, like, some people make it, okay, what's the reason why we're going to school? Is it not just to make it in life?
That's not the only
That's
reason
not
for
the
school.
reason.
okay, so I get your point, but in my opinion,
life.
I think the first thing is, let's know what education is. Because I believe education is beyond the certificates you want to get. It's beyond the paper you get from school. We need to understand that, to an extent, education helps this world to stay sane.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
It helps the world stay sane.
That's
It's
true.
beyond, oh, we just don't get the certificates and all
Yes,
of that.
yes.
Just imagine how everybody would just do things anyhow if there was no education. I mean, you see the difference between the way a loud out there that was not properly
And
educated will
someone that
react
is
to some
educated,
incidents
yes.
compared to the way
Even if they have that money. Even if they have that money,
yeah, I
they're
agree.
not.
So
You've not seen people who are very rich and they feel empty.
Yeah.
Like they feel like they are able to communicate like people who are schooled, but they can't, or they feel like they could be where people who are schooled could go to, or could, but they are unable to do that. I've seen people who are like that. I've seen people who went back to school at 50, 55. There must be a reason for that. It's not the money. They are not even looking for money. It's not. They are not going there because there's something missing.
It's just for the information.
Okay. Yes, there's something. And see, when you begin, each time people begin to compare making it in life and reading, or having money and reading, I think we've gotten it wrong. Yes. You see, what education does, Aristotle said education is the ornament of prosperity and refuge in adversity. Two things. Is the ornament of prosperity, means it can aid you to prosper. Then it's also your refuge in adversity. Because education cannot be taken away from you. I'm talking about education, not school.
Yes.
There's a difference between school and education. We are told that we should not allow our education to interfere with our school to interfere with our education. You understand? So there is no point in life where reading can become an alternative. Reading is a principal issue. You see, because you cannot rise beyond the level of what you know.
Mm-hmm.
Where you are today is what you know or knew that took you there. You understand? So we should be mindful when we say, there are people who did not go to school now, but when you see them, they have made it, they are collecting this, they are collecting that. But when you look at their lives critically, you find that most of the decisions they make, sometimes they are not refined. They are not. There's something that education does to you that it exfoliates you. It helps you to coordinate. It helps you to present yourself decently and properly and all that. So it does a lot for you as against some persons who... There are people also went to school but they don't read. I've used this to the argument. You understand? Sometimes before you argue for that, find out the last time the person read the book and finished it. You understand? So we're talking about the 10 best novel in the world, for example. The person have not read one. So what are you discussing with the person?
But I think maybe it's because of time. Because probably the person has work to do, and the only time the person can say he wants to read that novel, or maybe is to just expand his knowledge. But because of work and time, like, he might not have that time to read. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying. Not having time to read will mean that the fact is that the person is not ready to actually read, because it's very easy to find an excuse not to read. It's very easy. Yes, just there are disciplines you find yourself. You are my profession, for example. You cannot practice law without reading. It's not even possible.
Yes.
You can't. So it does not matter whether you have time or not. And I've never seen anyone who's as busy as a lawyer. The lawyer is the one that don't even have time at all. So, and with that, you still have to make sure that you know your rules of court. You know the ground norm. You know the application of law. I hear your story now. I'm able to conjure correctly the application of law to legal issues. You know your precedents. Issues that have been decided alongside that area you are working on, and how to, get it up to date and make sure you are presenting it up to date and all that. And know not to go and cite laws that have been repealed. You understand? All those ones put together. So it's not just about having time. There's nobody that don't have time. It's what you give your time to. That's what is important to you. So reading is not something that, you see, even today, reading has been made easier. Because you now have e-books.
We have audiobooks.
We have
You know what?
Would you consider those as books?
If you see, no, they are books.
Are they
Yes, no,
books?
because you are literally reading.
They are books.
Yes.
Abraham
It's not for
Lincoln,
the knowledge.
Abraham Lincoln wrote a letter to his son's teacher. Have you seen that before? Have you seen the letter? You've not seen it?
No,
Just
sir.
if you go online, you read it. In those days in school, those are the things we consume. And one of the lines in that letter, I said, "Teach him, my son, the wonders of books, but also give him time to ponder the external mysteries of birds in the sky and bees in the hive. So the wonders of books on the line. From books, you can travel to any jurisdiction of the world. You understand? Before, there's a place in Dublin, I read in John Grisham's Defense. There's a place where people come from all over the world, a bar in Dublin, where people come to drink. People come from Japan, Germany, just to come and drink and go back. Yes, there. I read it, I was in JSS3 when I read it in John Grisham's work, the Firm. Now, the moment I got to Dublin and I was on that street, I knew immediately that this was the place John Grisham was talking about before I asked them. And when I asked them, they say, yes, that is the spot. You understand? From that time, I read it like 27 years ago. Before I got there, when I got there, I knew this was the spot before I asked. You understand? So it gives you a lot. It takes you to where you can never imagine. So it's a better option, to develop reading skills.
Okay, I want to ask you a question. Do you think that social media is better in conveying information and it benefits us more in the grand scheme instead of reading actual books?
No, I think reading actually have more information than social media, because if you go through social media posts recently now, let me say all these advertisements, all these captions, all these blogs, they will just give you the major thing that is going to catch your eye, just a little piece of information. But in a book, you have all the old information, definitely.
You could also use YouTube.
You could also, that's actually true. You could also use YouTube for information, but I think watching videos at times can stick to your brain than you reading book. But if you are also reading and you visualize it, it will also stick to your brain.
What do you think?
Okay, I want to just add to what Oyin said. I think our generation, we are in a time when graphics are actually trending, and to be honest, I think it's easier for you to remember what you see,
yes,
than for you to remember what you actually read. Although personally, I'd rather read it than watch it, because I feel more like I'm in the scene when I'm reading.
Because when you read, you're actually using your imagination, so you're seeing as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have to be very honest that graphic contents stick. When you teach children now, gone are those days when you just teach them by words. They learn faster, they learn easily. And then at the same time, talking about what has more knowledge in social media and books. I think, there's a lot of content on social media, but there is a space for what knowledge do we have on social media. There's a high probability that you will get better knowledge in books. I mean, more positive knowledge in books because they are verified. In most cases, they are verified. But then when you talk about social media, you get different chunks of knowledge
from
there.
People that you don't know their house.
Because sometimes books you are reading from a professional, or you are reading from someone who have considerable knowledge of what he's saying, or the story he's telling, or what he's discussing. But social media, social media is the liberalization of knowledge, the point where democracy is really. You find someone who have never been to the four walls of the school who will make comments on the subject matter. Maybe a subject matter as technical as, let's say, electricity, or the formation of electricity, where people are talking about the principles laid down by Michael Faraday. Somebody from that have never been to anywhere will just come and start to type something under that comment. You understand? So I prefer that people should first go read before they come to the social media to get whatever. Because the social media is like a crash course. It's an abridgment of whatever it is people have internalized, or whatever it is they find as their own ideas.
So I think the laws that bind what people post on social media should actually be taken more seriously. Because something happened recently, I don't know if you heard about the Weibo incident that took place. And
What
then
was
they were trying to get the person in the female hostel in school. They were trying to get the culprit. And while someone was trying to get, people came out and she was shouting for help. And the first thing they did was bring out their phone and start recording
Instead of
content
helping.
instead of helping. So I think the laws that bind
Yes,
these
they do that
things,
in
what you
laws.
post, the content, should be taken more seriously.
Yeah, well, yeah, there are community rules on social media and all that, but the truth is that people are more interested in who posts first,
Yes.
or who is the first person who shared the content than to solve a problem. Okay, so the boiling point of it is that we're going to have a better society if we have a society that reads. Now, for us to have a society that will say education is calm, or we don't read because we are distracted, or we don't read because the world is too busy today than it was before, or we should maintain our own lifestyle. We are okay the way we are. I don't think the Gen Z, they are okay the way they are. I believe that an average Gen Z should be able to talk about national income. I believe an average Gen Z should be able to talk about geography or space and time. Talk about astrology. You'll be able to talk about democracy deeply from the ancient times to how politics evolve. I think Gen Z should be able to do that. But what we have in Nigeria predominantly, there's a deficit in that.
Yes.
Their strength is somewhere. It's on music. They could talk about music, they could talk about sports, entertainment, but the energy they have given to that sphere cannot actually fix the core issues of life. Because that sphere is the entertainment side of life. It's the side of life where you resort to after you have finished work. You understand? But the work itself, you don't find them there. And they are smarter. Which means monetary policy, for example. I've never seen a Gen Z that can discuss monetary policy. No, I'm just saying it so that maybe we should start to recruit from here, or maybe from here we start to drive the discourse, or that we'll talk about the economy, Nigerian economy from 1960 to date, or talk about the political development of Nigeria, constitutional development of Nigeria from the Clifford Constitution of 1922 to the Richard Constitution of 1946 to the Manifesto Constitution of 1951 to the Littleton Constitution of 1954 to the Constitutional Conference of 1953 and the one in 1957 before independence in 1960. 1963 Republican Constitution. Okay, then from there to 1979 Constitution, where we move from presidential system to, when we move from parliamentary system to presidential system. Then the political development from 1979 to 1999, the military interregnum down to the current political. So you begin to see why we're where we are. You understand? An average Gen Z, there are those who could do that, who could talk effective, but there are few.
But sorry,
So
it seems like we have. I feel like Gen Zs have different values as to the former generation. Like I said before, you don't find us reading non-fiction. So it seems like we don't. I would say, I'm not speaking for myself, but I would say that most of Gen Zs, it seems like we don't really care about history.
Yeah, and
it seems like we don't.
It seems so, but you know it's not good. It seems so. And I don't blame the Gen Z too, because I mean this whole history are not taking us anywhere. What I mean in whole history mean that the Nigerian economy it's not inspiring. Do you understand? Maybe if the country had developed to the level where we wanted it to be, maybe the crops of Gen Z will have now be different from what we have. I don't know. Maybe our story will be so inspiring that you want to know how that Nigeria developed so fast from 1960 to 2000, for example. But it's been a steady decline. And the things we hear too, this one has told this billion, now has told this billion, this one has told, it's hard to go and find out why. So if it's so inspiring and absorbing, why is that the news we get from there is this one has told this, that one has told this one says you snatch ballot box, carry draw. Politics is do or die affair. That's what we hear from our elders. So it's not inspiring. I don't know why. I don't know whether that's why the Gen Z don't find it or it's just that
it's
what they want.
definitely part. It's
part.
definitely part of
It's
it.
part of
Yes.
it, maybe unconsciously too. Maybe unconsciously too, because I don't think it's all Gen Z that will tell you that this is the reason I don't put,
Yeah.
I don't do.
I feel like this generation is not even, we are not deep thinkers, like we don't really pay
Right.
attention to details. Nobody wants to look back and say, okay, where did we go wrong? Everybody just wants
To just live,
keep
the
the moment.
moments. Like,
That's it. They just want to live for
You
the
just want
moment.
to live for the moment, and if you don't think that's a risk, it's a security risk situation because history have a role to play. Even in school, the history is not even taught.
Yes.
I am surprised
History
today
is
because
not-
my
No,
greatest
I
score.
think they removed this in some
They removed it
curriculum.
and yeah.
No, now that it's even there,
Yes.
at some point they remove it. Now that it's even there, how many persons, take that, offer that subject? This is partly government fault too, but they should make it compulsory.
yes, I think that's why they replace it with is it civic or
No, it was not replaced. Civic was just added.
okay, it was that thing.
Because before now, government is what you have, and that government is from senior.
Yeah.
Senior
Secondary
school.
school, and I think
Yes,
it's just
Then you have social
for-
studies.
it's not
You have
all-
social studies at junior school, but in order to get because social studies do not really capture politics, civic responsibilities, and all those things. So they brought in civic. Now civic is playing a role there, but it's still not enough. It's not enough. We should make education attractive. Let there be reward for education. If you go to
Yes,
BB
it should
Naija,
actually
BB
be
Naija,
reward
for
for
example, if you go to Big
education.
Brother Naija, you can make
Yeah,
10
those
million.
graduating students.
In
Then
90
those
days.
students is getting.
25,000.
Yeah,
Then
25,000.
Remember, you're saying someone that went to
Someone that went to
maybe
BBN
Nigeria
is
is
getting billion.
Yeah, because
That's a
because-
lot
private.
of
That's a private.
discouragement.
You don't expect the government.
But then
to
we're
do-
expecting the government
They
to
should,
be
like
richer
these people
than.
funding that particular show should also fund education.
They are private individuals.
We
huh?
can't force them.
Yeah, they are probably
Yes,
users
we can't
and
face
they are looking for views. I can tell you that if we have two programs now on TV, we're all seated here. One is BB Naija, and the other is maybe a debate on a strong subject like economy, world economy. I'm
Nobody's
sure that
going
the
to
three of
watch
you
that.
focus on that one when they're dancing.
Yes, it's more
Huh?
entertaining.
You said the other one is boring. You understand? So you see, the problem is the private institutions that are organizing
I
this.
also get it.
What they are looking for is not how to change society.
They're looking for money.
They are looking
They are looking for
money.
views.
Yes.
They are looking for
yes,
advertorials, and they are looking for where the crowd is. You understand? So they invest there. Now, for those who want to change society, we're talking about maybe like this summit Davos they just had now. You saw all the world leaders talking about like Republic of Ireland now. They are saying they would rather give money than to take in more people seeking asylum. Okay. Now, when you look at the Italian they are saying their own. The COP20, the other one that they attended, World Summit they attended, you see the discourse. You go online to read the discourse. I don't know whether the Gen Z they go to read the discourse. These are world policies. I mean, what the world is saying. The G7, okay, will you be able to tell me about the resolution, the last resolution of the G7? And then what is G7 in the first place? So these are issues. Do you know the world powers we have, the countries that represent the world powers now, and their last resolution, their last meeting, the United Nations conventions?
I think few of our Gen Zs knows about that.
No, I'm not saying they don't know. I'm saying the energy we give to sports and entertainment. We need to
also
channel
use that
part of it.
to-
Part of it to this, because the reason people are not reading, if you don't read proper, you will not be well guided and informed to make informed choices and decisions. And these are Gen Z that in the next 10 years they will be raising another generation.
Yes.
And now what are they going to pass on to that generation? It's a risky situation. So because you have to give what you have. So if that generation that is coming, and there's another generation coming, they call the Alpha generation. They say those ones don't want to hear anything other than music. Yeah, they are 11 years now, and the only thing they want to do is music.
I think they will cope because the world is actually going digital.
Yeah, they will cope. I'm not saying they won't cope. I'm saying, you see, the world has a way of abridging itself. If you listen to environmentalists, when they talk about climate change and ozone layer, you will think that very soon the cloud will cave in on all of us. Or when you listen to health practitioners, when they tell you about what you should not eat and what you should eat, at the end of the day, you discover that they just told you not to eat anything again. You understand? But you will still survive one way or the other because nature have a way of abridging itself. Yes. But we are saying to have a better society. We are saying to have a formidable society. There's a need for the coming generation to, absorb more of the things that will make them relevant. And then there's a part the government also need to play. The government will also need to invest in the citizens. For example, I recommend that the federal government should have an electronic library for the youths of this country. You cannot say the youths are deviant or they are, and you have not made any attempt to help them abridge their faculty. You don't have public libraries all over the place.
Yes.
In Dublin, where I partly live, there is a public library in every community. Every community you go to, there's a public library, and it's filled every day. Just look at that generation in the next 20 years. Will you compare yourself in a city or a society where you have nothing of such? Will you compare yourself globally? You can't. Because the information is what drives the world.
Yes.
We could be saying our values are different now today because there's internet and there's social media. See, what we are making of social media here, it will just go there with banter. We'll talk about no grief for anybody. And then we'll post something. That's what we're using it for. Yeah. But in some other tradition, they are going beyond just social media.
So how do you think we can use this social media now to encourage traditional reading?
Yes, I think we should in our daily posts or our engagements, we should write more about reading. Okay, the reason we created this program also is to reach out to the younger generation. It's important. It's actually your program. It's actually you coming to say, our role here is to guide or to suggest or to say, it's not to tell you what to do. No, it's not to tell you what to do. It's to suggest that this thing you do this way. What about if you tweak it this way? How about if you do it this way? How about if you... To give you alternatives, perspective. The best gift you can give to a man is to give him a new perspective, vistas. Mm-hmm. When you give him vistas, because there's a way imagination works. A man is not meant to live in isolation. Yes. All you know, yes. You think you know so much. Someone who does not even know much might give you a perspective that will better what you know, or that will help you increase what you know. So the way we can use social media to encourage traditional reading is to first of all read on our own, and then look for how we can transmit what we have read. Because the most important thing about reading is when you read. When you read and you communicate or you write, people will know that this one reads.
This person reads.
Yes.
Well, how do you think we should use social media to encourage reading?
Okay, so maybe by passing out information, I don't even know, because technology, everyone actually wants to go into tech, and what's it called? Everyone has everyone reads because of I feel everyone reads because of what they will gain from that reading.
Yes.
So, now, we students, we read because we want to pass. Some people at work read because they want to upgrade and get, there's always a reason, so I don't really know.
Okay, Blessing, what do you think?
Okay, for me, I think since everybody is on social media, why don't we just throw opportunities in their faces? I mean, when I mean opportunities, you have audiobooks. We talked about audiobooks. Yes. That they can read. We can include incentives that will attract them, competitions.
Okay, that's a good idea. Anyways, we've come to the end of the program today. We really, really appreciate your presence, Barrister Evans, Oyin, and Blessing.
Thank you.
Also, thank you, viewers, for watching. You can tell us in the comment section what you think, why many Gen Zs don't read like the older generation, and how you think that we can rectify the situation. Also like our videos on YouTube and Enterprise TV. Follow us across social media at Enterprise TV 7 and push the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Remember, this is January. Spend wisely, please. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.